Get started with our Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta reading. Chaitan Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityānanda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityānanda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Vande Guru Nisha Bhaktan Ishani Shavatarakam Tat Prakasham Tat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Sangyakam Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityaānanda Sahoditau Gaurude Pushpavanatau Chitrau Sandau Tamonudau Granthera Arambha Kori Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinirasmarana Hoya Vigana Vinashana Anayasa Sapal Nija Vanchita Purana Jaya Jaya Kripama Jagatiranath Sarva Jagatira Kora Shubha Drishtipad Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Thank you so much, dear worshipable devotees, for joining. We are reading Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Adi Lila, chapter 5, entitled The Glories of Lord Nityaānanda and Balarāma, or Balarāma, they're the same. We read till text 113 yesterday, and we're talking about Shri Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who lies in the ocean of milk, Shvetadvipa, and then Brahma, etc. offer their prayers, and then we discuss some numbers also. So all that we did yesterday. So now we'll move on to text 114 and read from there more about Lord Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Deva Gane Napaya Yanhara Darshana Kshirodakatire Yai Karena Stavana. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Unable to see him, the demigods go to the shore of the ocean of milk and offer prayers to him. Purport: the denizens of heaven who live in the planetary systems beginning from Swar Loka cannot even see Lord Vishnu in Shvetadvipa. Unable to reach the island, they can simply approach the beach of Milk Ocean to offer transcendental prayers to the Lord, appealing to him on special occasions to appear as an incarnation. Hare Kṛṣṇa. So, very, very nice verse again. We saw this picture also yesterday where the denizens of heaven, referring to the devotees who live in the upper planetary systems, from Swarloka, Prabhupada is writing. They're also part of the material world, but Shvetadvipa, where Lord Vishnu resides, is spiritual world within the material world, so that's free from the material world, in short. And demigods approach there whenever they have difficulty, like whenever Indrari Vyakulam Loke Mridayanti Yugi Yugi, whenever there is distress to Indra and his followers, referring to the demigods, then Lord Krishna appears, or his incarnations appear time and again to destroy the miscreants and protect the devotees. So how do they approach? Through prayers. Very, very nice point. They cannot see the Lord, but they approach through prayers. Through Shabda, through the words. And chanting is also the same. We cannot see the Lord, but when we sincerely call out, like how the demigods call out to the Lord in the form of prayer, Vandanam, which is one of the 9 limbs of bhakti, or Kirtanam is also a prayer in one way. Kirtan means to glorify Krishna. When we are glorifying, we are basically praying. Chanting is a prayer. So we are doing Vandana. Chanting includes all the limbs actually. So when the Lord is pleased, so we cannot see by our senses, we can see through this, to see through the medium of prayers. That's a lesson the demigods are sharing. By sincerely appealing, the Lord will come. Lord Chaitanya also heard the prayer of Advaita Acharya and came to hear, after hearing his prayer. So let's see what happens further. Yes, Vipul Prabhu, you want to read?
Sure, Prabhuji. Also, devotees, Dhanur Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Text 150. তবে অবতরী করে জগৎ পালন অনন্ত বৈভব তার নাহিক গণন. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. He then descends to maintain the material world. His unlimited opulence cannot be counted. So Lord always answers the prayers we see when the devotee really remembers him or calls out sincerely. As you said that Advaita Prabhu called Gauranga Mahaprabhu to come and give the Krishna prem. So here also see that Lord descended to this material world by the prayers of the devotees. Back to Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Oh, thank you so much, Prabhu. Very nice word is used. Descends. Descends means he is not born. He doesn't take birth. Avatari, he descends. So it's a word used to describe the appearance. He appears and disappears, or descends, ascends and descends. Why? To maintain Jagat Palana. Ananta Vaibhava. His opulence are unlimited. Nahika Ganana. Ganana means counting. Gana means groups or counting. So we cannot count the opulence of the Lord here. Let's see the next verse. Yes, Shilpa Mataji, and to read, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes. Se Vishnu Haya Yara Amsam Sera Amsa Se Prabhu Nityaānanda Sarva Avatamsa. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord Vishnu is but a part of planetary portion of Lord Nityaānanda, who is the source of all incarnations. That's Lord Vishnu. Is but purport. The Lord of Shvetadvipa has immense potency for creation and destruction. Sri Nityaānanda Prabhu, being Baladeva himself, the original form of Sankarshana, is the original form of the Lord of Shvetadvipa. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Back to you.
Quite straightforward. Basically here, the point to note is all these are parts or subparts or subparts or subparts of Nityananda or Balarāma, who is expansion of Krishna. That's the essence here. So sometimes this devotees, have this question: is Vishnu supreme, Krishna supreme? I think that's Vishnu comes from Krishna, Krishna comes from Vishnu. All these questions may have. In the material world, all the incarnations who come or descend come from Vishnu. But sometimes, like think about in a company, normal employees may not even know or may not even have seen the owner, right? The owner is so big, such a wealthy person. He is busy playing golf or just lying on some beach in Hawaii or something in Switzerland. Who does the main work? The CEO or the general manager. Or, they're busy. They are running the show. They are, making important decisions, etc., etc. So the common people, the common employees, the common customers, etc., etc., they will think, oh, the CEO is the chief. I think that's what we call chief executing officer. But beyond the CEO, the owner is just, the CEO works for the owner, right? Or similarly, Krishna is that supreme, who may sometimes be even hidden from the picture, and often he's hidden. Therefore, and when he descends also, he is hard to identify. Avajananti mam muda. Even Brahma got confused what to speak of non-devotees. Brahma got confused. Is this the Supreme Lord playing with his friends, eating the jhuta? He would, Madhumangal would have a charge buttermilk in his mouth, and Krishna would boom, when all the buttermilk will spill on Krishna's face. And Brahmaji said, what nonsense this is. This is uchishta. Uchishta is dirty, it's unclean, We're not supposed to eat others' uchishta, except for Krishna and pure souls, right? That's basically in the mode of ignorance, food in the mode of ignorance. But how? So Brahma also got confused. So what to speak of, But the point here, back to the point that here, Lord Vishnu, this Lord Vishnu, referring to Shrudakshai Vishnu, ultimately, he is the plenary portion, or the portion of the plenary portion of the Nityaānanda. Okay, Partha, Prabhu, you want to read next verse?
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Shei Vishnu Shesha Rupa Dharen Dharani Kaha Ache Mohi Shire Heno Nahi Jani. So translation is, that same Lord Vishnu in the form of Lord Sesha holds the planets upon his hands, although he does not know where they are, for he cannot feel their existence upon his heads.
Right. A little tricky, right?
Yeah.
Let's try to see a little bit more deeply. So Lord Shesha, Ananta Shesha, referring to Dharena Dharani. Dharani refers to Earth or the planets here. Dharana Dharani. Dharan means to hold. So he is holding the planets. All the planets are resting upon him. Mahi Shire Hena Nahi Jani. If I say you are holding hairs on your head, you must be very bothered by it, right? You must be troubled by holding so many hairs on your head. Right? Is that a fair statement? All of you, most of you are holding hairs on your head, right? Some have more, some have less, some have long, some have short. That's a finer detail. We don't feel it, as if it's like unknown. Nahi jani. We are so oblivious of this fact, correct? Although we are holding hairs on our head, we just think about similarly all these big planets, universes, Brahmandas, Shesha is holding. But in the Canto 5 of Srimad-Bhāgavatam, if I put a few more mustard seeds on your head, on our head, do we feel like? We won't feel like. Right? Sometimes in the yajna, I come back home, so there are like certain yajna particles in my head because someone putting samagri from the back is all got my head. So I don't even feel like, right? It's so light. That's the point here. It's so light compared to this. If a tiny, particle, a tiny mustard seed is on our head, we won't feel like anything. So that Shesha, that Ananta Shesha is so huge, he cannot feel their existence upon his head. He cannot feel their existence. So that basically is a way to show the glories and the size and the amazing Lord Shesha. Who is Vishnu? Who is the expansion of Balarāma? And they're holding the dharani. Any more thoughts, additions here? 118. Ashish Mataji, want to read, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I'm working in kitchen. Please forgive me.
Oh, no. Please don't say sorry. Yes, Lakshay, Prabhu.
Yes, sir. Text 118. Sahasra Vishtirna Yandra Fanara Mandala Surya Jiniya Mani Ganakaha Kare Jalamala. Translation: His thousands of extended hoods are adorned with dazzling jewels surpassing the sun. Hare Krishna.
Whom are we referring to here? Lakshay, Prabhu? Whom are we
Anantadeva.
talking? Anantashesha. How many hoods he has?
Thousands.
Thousands. Thousands. Like it's unlimited actually. The Sesha, the Lord Shesha is, or Anantashesha is from thousands and thousands of his hoods. He's speaking the Supreme Lord's glorification from time immemorial. That means thousands of kalpas, thousands of lifetimes. Still, he is not done. But here, the point is that the jewels. So, on those hoods are jewels. You may have, there are certain snakes who have the jewel on their head. Very, very rare. Those are very, very rare. But in India, these snake charmers, what they do, they bring the snake, they glue the jewel and on that, and then they say, hey, I'm taking this special jewel from this snake for you. That's how they cheat people. Well, no, I was hearing in a class by another devotee. Everything is, they like make a business out of it. And people are also willing to be cheated. So there is demand and supply. People also want that. Anyways, Chura money. Money is basically jewel. Money gana. Jhalamala, glittering. Jhalmal, like glittering. Like what? Like groups of suns. So they are like these jewels are surpassing the sun. Their light, their brightness, their jhalamala, their glitter surpasses the glitter of the sun. Now sun is so big. We have read in Canto 5 again. The chariot itself is like 400 miles. Chariot, 400 miles or something of that size. So huge. So can we imagine the glitter? Can we imagine the size, first of all, of Lord Shesha? So that the planets are appearing like nothing. Like we may have thousands of hair follicles on our head. It doesn't, feel like anything. So that's how Anantashesha is so big. Just to give some context of relativity here, that he's so big, like as hairs appear to us on our head, So these planets where all of us are living, that's only one layer, Bhumandala. And in Bhumandala also very, very tiny section we are in. And that appears to be like a hair particle on his head or a mustard seed. Okay, 119. Rakesh Prabhu, thank you for joining. Want to read?
Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhu. Hare Kṛṣṇa devotees. Text 119. Panchasat koti yojana prithvi vistara yanara eka phane rahe sarasapa akara. Translation. The universe, which measures 500 million yojanas in diameter, rests on one of his hood like a mustard seed. You want me to read purport also, Prabhu?
Sure, please, Prabhu.
Thank you. Purport. The Lord of Shvetadvipa expands himself as a Seshanaga, who sustains all the planets upon his innumerable hoods. These huge global spheres are compared to grains of mustard resting on the spiritual hoods of Seshanaga. The scientist's law of gravity is a practical explanation of Lord Shankarshna energy. The name Shankarshna has an etymological relationship to the idea of gravity. There is a reference to Seshanaga in Srimad-Bhāgavatam 5.17.21 text, where it said, Yam ahur asya sthiti janma samyamaham trabhir vihinam yam anantam rashya na veda siddhartham iva kvachit sthitham bhumandalam murtha sahasra dhamanshu. O my Lord, the hymns of the Vedas proclaim that you are the effective cause for the creation, maintenance, and destruction. But in fact, you are transcendental to all limitations and are therefore known as unlimited. On your thousands of hoods rest the innumerable global spheres like grains of mustard, so insignificant that you have no perception of their weight. The Bhagavatam further says, 5.25.2 chapter, Yasyedham Shiti Mandhalam Bhagavato Nanta Murthe Sahasra Sirasha Ekshmin Eva Siransi Dhriyamanam Siddhartha Iva Lakshayate. Lord Anantadeva has thousands of hoods. Each sustains a global spirit that appears like a grain of mustard. Thank you, Prabhuji. It is back to you.
Thank you so much, Rakesh Prabhu. So here the dimensions of the universe are mentioned here. 500 million yojanas in diameter. 500 million yojanas. Can you imagine? Mustard seed like that. That's basically, multiply that with 8. 1 yojana is 8 miles. So that becomes how many miles? How many miles? Yeah. Who knows the answer? If you multiply this with 8, how many miles it will be?
100 million.
40.
100 million.
100 million is basically, we call it 4 billion. Right? You mix the Indian and international system of units. Right? 4 billion miles. 4 billion miles. Earth is how much? What's the diameter of Earth? This tiny Earth where we live.
40,000 kilometers.
50,000 kilometers. 4,000 miles. Maybe someone can do a quick search. I think it was like 4,000, or radius was 4,000, or diameter was 4,000. It was something like that. 8,000 miles of radius, or it's much smaller. The point is, here we're talking about 4 billion miles, and Earth is tiny. Yep.
So Prabhuji, Earth diameter 8,000 miles.
8,000 miles. Okay. So 4,000 is the radius. So some 4 figure was coming into my mind. So 8,000 miles and 4 billion miles. Wow. That's almost, if I do like 4,000, just for ease, 4,000 miles versus 4 billion miles. How big? How many times? 1,000,000 times approximately, right? 1,000,000 times bigger than the Earth is this Brahmanda, right? If you want to be more specific, it's 500,000, because and that is like mustard seed. Just imagine the mustard seed. When we talk about mustard seed, we can hold maybe 500 mustard seeds in our tiny hand. But that is like that Brahmanda, that universe, which is 500,000 times bigger than the Earth, is like a mustard seed to Ananta Shesha. Isn't that beautiful? So Prabhupada is mentioning, the name Sankarshana has an etymological relationship to the idea of gravity. Who can throw light on this? Can anyone? What does etymological mean, first of all? Anyone knows? It's basically when we break the word into, to try to understand its root. Let's see what Google says about it. Relating to the origin or historical development of the words and their meaning. So yeah, logi means study. So etymological means basically how did this word come into existence? So now, can anyone explain this line? What do we call the gravity in Hindi? Anyone knows?
Akarshan.
Gurutvakarshana.
Gurutvakarshana, yes, that's exactly. Gurutvakarshana, we call, and so you see the word akarshan is there. If you break the word sankarshana, it's basically one who attracts everyone. That's one meaning. He was pulled. 3 names were given by Gargacharya, if you remember, if you go back to, right? One was Sankarshana. So he was pulled from the womb of Devaki to Rukmini,
Rohini.
right? And Rohini is very good. Rohini, and he would connect the 2 families. Remember, we discussed all that in recently in Canto 10, chapter 6, I believe. Yeah, 6 or 5 or 6 we studied. We'll come back to that Bhagavatam after we complete this chapter. So hopefully by Balarāma Purnimas, we'll complete this chapter, which is in a few weeks. And we're talking about Balarāma only, so which is good. And then we move back to Bhagavatam. So, but coming back to here, Akarshan, so that's the point here. So if we break the word into its origin, so gravity is basically what attracts. So Sankarshana is there at the bottom. Who is holding this, right? Who is holding all these? And they rest upon his head, right? This is Lord Sankarsana or Shesha. Any more thoughts anyone has?
So Prabhuji, the other day we were talking about that each universe starts rest in the stem of the Lord Gauradaksha Vishnu on the top Brahma. So how come, and then all the universe again on the top of the head of the Ananta Shesha? How to relate with that?
Okay. Where does the stem come from?
From the navel of the Gauradaksha Vishnu.
And where is he lying?
He's lying on the Garbo ocean.
He's lying in the Garbha ocean, which is made up of
Sweat.
sweat. So I think let's draw something here. Okay. So this is the Garbha ocean. Sorry, this is the Lord Vishnu is lying on his transcendental bed here in the Garbha ocean. And then all the planets, systems lie upon Sankarsana. Imagine, very bad drawing, but so Sankarsana, and the Lord is lying here. Hare Krishna. Is that okay?
Oh, okay. I got it.
Yeah. So there are multiple Sheshas, multiple expansions of Ananta Shesha or Sankarsana. Yeah, but on his head, this universe is he's holding. That's one understanding, right? But all these Brahmandas are also floating around in the Karana ocean, right? This is one Brahmanda or one universe. And the Garbhodak ocean, Garbhodaksha Vishnu is taking charge of this. And then Shuradaksha Vishnu is present somewhere here in his Shweta Dvipa also. So yeah, this is my limited understanding. Is it okay? Or
Yeah. Some understanding. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
okay, let's read further. 120. Yes, Sudhir Prabhu, you want to read, please?
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhuji, I'm driving.
Oh, no, don't be sorry, Prabhu. Please, we're happy that you're able to join. Who wants to read? 120. Anyone wants to read? Who's in a position to read?
Maybe I can try again.
Yes, Prabhu,
Yeah.
please.
Shaita Ananta Shesha Bhakta Avatar Ishwarer Seva Bina Nahi Jane Aar. Translation: that Ananta Shesha is the devotee incarnation of Godhead. He knows nothing but the service to Lord Krishna. Purport: Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krishna Sandarbha has described Seshanaga as follows. Sri Anantadeva has thousands of faces and is fully independent, always ready to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He waits upon him constantly. Sankarsana is the first expansion of Vasudeva, and because he appears by his own will, he is called Sabrat, fully independent. He is therefore infinite and transcendental to all limits of time and space. He himself appears as the thousand-headed Sesha. In the Skanda Purana, in the Adhyaya Mahatyama chapter, the demigod Indra requested Lord Sesha, who has standing before him as Lakshmana, please go to your eternal abode, Vishnu Loka, where your expansion Sesha with his serpentine hoods is also present. After thus dispatching Lakshmana to the religion of Patala, the Lord Indra returned to his abode. This quotation on indicates that the Sankarsana of the quadruple form descends with the Lord Rama as Lakshmana. When the Lord Rama disappears, Sesha again separates himself from the personality of Lakshmana. Sesha then returns to his own abode in the Patala regions, and Lakshmana returned to his abode in Vaikuntha. The Logu bhāgavata-sevayā gives the following description. The Sankarsana of the second group of quadruple forms appears as Rama, taking with him Sesha, who bears the global spheres. There are two features of Sesha. One is beard of the globes, and other is the bedstead servitor. The Sesha who bears the globes is the potent incarnation of Sankarsana, and therefore he is sometimes also called Sankarsana. The bedstead feature of Sesha always presents himself as an eternal servitor of the Lord.
Prabhu, thank you. Any comments you have?
I couldn't go much between the words, so while reading, so maybe if you just help us, then it would be wonderful.
Sure, Prabhu. Anantashesha Bhakta Avatara. Anantashesha is expansion of Balarāma, right? We have discussed that. Ishwara Seva Vina Nahi Jane Ara. I really like this point Prabhupada is making. So we have discussed the size of Anantashesha. It's really huge. He has thousands of faces, thousands of heads, thousands of face means senses, right? Most of our main senses are in the face, or right? Isn't it? Eyes, nose, ears, etc., etc. If one does not have hand, one can still manage, but not having a face or a head, that's like can't manage, right? The point is he's fully independent, fully Swarat, abhigya Swarat. Swarat means one can do what they want to do. We are not Swarat. For example, it's nighttime, but I want to go on the beach and just want it sunny. Can it happen? No, sorry. That cannot change. Let's say it's raining, I want the rain to pause because I want to go for a walk. No, I am tiny Anu. But Krishna is Vibhu and Vishnu is Vibhu. Anantashesha is Vibhu, is Vishnu, but Vishnu in the form of a devotee. It's devotee incarnation of Godhead. It's a very important point here, isn't it? I really like this point. In spite of having the full independence to be the proprietor, master, enjoyer, is willingly declaring one's dependence to serve the master Krishna is so glorious. Is it not? So we may be tiny, very tiny Swarats. Someone could have control over his home. Someone could have control over a region. Control means capacity to influence. Control is like too big of a word. Capacity to influence. Someone, may have capacity to influence a nation. But using that to serve the Supreme Lord is really, really great. He knows nothing but the service of the Lord. A devotee knows nothing but the Lord. The Lord knows nothing but the devotee. This beautiful verse mentioned in the Bhāgavatam, that devotee resides in the heart of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord resides in the heart of the devotee. The devotee knows nothing but the Lord, and Lord knows nothing but the devotee. This is reciprocal relation. This is Krishna consciousness. In spite of having, Shesha has, thousands of mouths, thousands of abilities, but still not misutilizing it. That's Krishna consciousness. So we may have some power to speak, some wealth, some beauty, some whatever, intelligence, whatever. All these are gifts of the Lord, but not using them whimsically or independent of Krishna, but using those to be fully dependent, that knowing nothing but the service of the Lord. That's lesson from Shesha. And the point here is also very interesting. So after the Lord Rama winded up his pastime and asked Lakshmana to go in the regions of Patala, basically to Lord Indra came, actually, it's mentioned here. Indra comes to bring the Lord, and Indra, when the pastimes are done, the principles are established, they come and say, okay, Lord, you may return to your abode, right? That's basically, so he winds up his pastime. The Sankarsana of the quadruple form descends with Lord Rama as Lakshmana. When Lord Rama disappeared, Shesha again separates himself from the personality of Lakshmana. Shesha then returns to his abode. So Shesha's abode is basically in the region of Patal. As we just mentioned, he's the holder of all these universes. So Patalas are basically the lower planetary systems, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, etc. They're also called a subterranean Swarga. In the Canto 5 again of Bhagavatam, there is a lot of detailed description about the subterranean. It's a whole chapter entitled Subterranean Swarga, actually. Subterranean means they are below the surface of the earth. And Lakshmana returns. So there's basically two personalities split, Shesha and Lakshmana. So Shesha or Sankarsana, the quadruple form. But we have discussed this, even Balramji, Lakshmana, Nityānanda, all their main purpose is to serve in different rasas. Nothing but to assist the Lord, their master. That's basically the relationship between Lord Nityaānanda and Krishna. And also another very beautiful point, there are two features of Shesha. So one feature is who bears all the globes or planets. And the other feature is the bedstead, the bed of the Lord. So it looks like there are two different. So maybe I kind of confused you and myself by the previous drawing. So let's take that back. There are two different aspects. So one The bedstead is different, and the one which is holding the universe is different. So, and the Shesha who bears the globes is also called Sankarshana. A lot of technical, but don't, let's focus on the essence. The essence is to try to focus on that. Ishware seva vina nahi jane ara. They know nothing but service of the Lord. This should be our mood. To always be engaged in Krishna conscious services. You can remember this line. Ishwara seva vina nahi jane ara. Bhagwan ke bina aur kuch nahi jante. They know nothing but Krishna. And to hear this beautiful verse about Sadhavo Hridaya Mahiyam. Sadhavo Hridaya Mahiyam. So that's 9.4.
So this is Shabak Bhagavan, right, Prabhuji?
Sevak Bhagavan, correct. Is Vishnu, Bhagavan, but Sevak Bhagavan. Lila ra Sahaya. Lila ra Sahaya. Lila means Sahaya. Let's just at least read the verse in the translation of this nice verse. Who wants to read? Yes, Sashilpa Mataji can.
You said translation or the verse as well? I'll try. Sadhavo Hridayam Mahyam. Hridayam Mahyam. Sadhunam Hridayam Tavaham. Madhyantatena Jananti Naham Tebhyo Managapi. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada Ki Jai. The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, and I'm always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anything else but them. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Prabhuji.
Quite similar, right?
Correct.
Very, very similar verse. Sankarshana is basically pure devotee. My pure devotees do not know anything but me. But Lord is so merciful. Lord, what does He say? I do not know anything but them. Reciprocal relationship, as we see here. He knows nothing but the service of the Lord. Knowing Lord means service, right? Thinking about Him, chanting, doing very different kinds of service is basically Krishna consciousness. Thinking about Krishna, meditating about Krishna, doing practical devotional service, sharing Krishna Katha, Prasadam, book distribution, festivals, etc., etc. This is all Krishna consciousness. Okay, any other comments before we pause for today?
This is exactly the words that Jashid chose to, not the word, sorry, the topic that he chose for the project, Prabhuji, kids project, who is dear to Lord Krishna. And the answer is devotees, and almost as you just mentioned in the last statement, that's all he mentioned in the reasons of who is a devotee. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
I'm very eager to learn from him and see his wonderful project. All the kids are working so hard on the project. I'm very, 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 very inspired by their sincerity.
All glories to you, Prabhu. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Grantraj Bhāgavatam Purana ki jai, Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki jai, Śrī Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitānam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaः. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.